record as soon as I hit record, and there we go. Bam, it's just like that. It works. It's wonderful. It's fantabulous. And guess what today is? It is Friday, which we know means Fantabulous Friday, which we're going to lead in how we can get into a Fantabulous Friday, especially if we've had a Cookie Thursday. But anywho, this is Carol Sue, AKA Naughty Boss, Lady Canna, published author with two
sisters. Hey, I had muted my own self.
Now that is fine.
Excuse me. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 4.0, Madame Publisher.
Right.
We're so excited to be here on Fantabulous Friday. Excuse me. And I just want to say, this has been such, as kooky as this week has been, it's been an amazing week. And shout out to the new published authors. So excited for all of you. And let's just dive right on into it. Let's catch up with you. Obviously, I went solo yesterday, and I think I did okay.
You did fine. You did absolutely fine. And, you know, it was one of those weird things. For those of you that are Sprint customers, you may be aware that Sprint and T-Mobile have merged. And I believe the actual merge was about over a year ago, or maybe roughly about a year, whatever. But they're still in the process. And they're currently in the process, I guess, you know, from what I understand, T-Mobile has more mobile towers than Sprint does. But anywho, so not yesterday morning, the day before yesterday, I started getting messages, hey, left your voicemail. And I said, and I would look at my phone, I said, well, I don't see any missed calls. And then I had a friend that messaged me on Facebook because she had texted me and I didn't respond. And I'm looking, I'm like, I didn't get any texts. So come to find out, for whatever reason, at that point, I did not realize that I only had internet on the phone. I had no availability for text messaging, no availability for calls in or call out, and you don't even see them. Now, as much as I'm on my phone, I don't always notice the different bars on top. But one of the bars would have alerted me to tell me you don't have any mobile service. So I was testing it out. Long story short, it was over a 24-hour process I ended up ordering a new phone, because what's happening is they are taking the Sprint phones and putting in T-Mobile SIM cards. And this will allow them to have availability, better service, a faster service, and more towers. However, some phones are not cooperating. And of course, mine was one of them. The frustrating part is, and you know, we talk about health and wellness and how stress plays a role. Now, for an entrepreneur to be out without no texting and no availability to call can be stressful. In addition, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you are kind of locked out from the outside world to even make a phone call, it's a stressful situation. And how did I deal with that stress? Well, first of all, I started to educate myself on really customer service, because I had to deal with a lot of, or lack thereof, customer service over the last 24 hours. And I realized the importance on the flip side of that, how that stresses the person that needs to get something resolved done. How many of you have been in that situation? You're frustrated. You're like, I need to get this fixed. A lot of times too, when you're calling the 866 or the 88 numbers, your call is being routed to overseas, and then you end up speaking with somebody that doesn't speak fluent English. That becomes a problem, as well as just not getting it resolved. And there are certain people that can have that finesse to calm you down, to make sure like, hey, I'm here to help you. So kudos and shout outs to the local Vero Beach T-Mobile store on, they changed 60th Street. It would be 60th Street, it's in a plaza. They were phenomenal in the sense of, and they were working with two different systems. So they got the Sprint system computer set up, and then they have obviously theirs. And long story short, the part of the frustration piece to it, and it's kind of funny, and that's where comedy and humor took over my stress. So I wasn't so stressed out. what happens is when you want to do an upgrade, you want to order a new phone, we found that that would be the easiest way because my contract was up. They want to text you a code. Hence my Facebook post about the code or a code. And I explained to them very, very calmly, you can't text me. I have no service. You can email me because I do have Wi-Fi, but you cannot, well, we're going to call you then. Well, if I don't have text messaging, that means I don't have cell phone service. I have no mobile service. And for someone that, as you well know, is not technology savvy, for me to be in the control and the reins of explaining to the company that I do business with cell phone service, that I even understand that analogy and they don't, that's a problem. So we went back and forth. It was crazy. So they're like, okay, well, we have to text it to a Sprint phone. We'll text it to your son's phone. My son's not available and his phone's not here. So I'm like, I'm not going to be able to see that. I said, my husband has Verizon. You can text it to his phone. Oh, we can't do that because that's a Verizon phone. And I'm like, well, how do you suggest then I order the phone? They said, well, go online to do that. I go, that's what I'm doing, but you're telling me you're going to send me a code. Well, because we have to. I know. So this went in circles. So it finally came to go to the store in person for the second time. I explained to them, they were gracious. They had a line of people because everyone's getting their SIM cards changed. And so finally one of the dealers takes the phone and he's kind of like listening to the person that I was listening to repeat this information over and over again. And he said, you understand, I'm on the phone now. I'm the dealer. Here's my dealer number. And the whole point of the code is to really, and I understand that, is to prevent fraud. They want to make sure the person that's ordering the phone, yada, yada, yada. Well, I'm going to give you my credit card that has my name and, my verification code. Also with Sprint, you have another layer of protection because we have our own security code. And I gave them that, and that wasn't good enough. Needless to say, we ended up finagling a few things, ordered my phone. But what it taught me was, that moments when you're having that stress. So I had to find the kind of the shits and giggles of the situation. And it was me, the fact that I was telling them about their own industry and their business that they couldn't seem to grasp. So that became the humorous, comical piece to it, because obviously they don't know how technology challenged I truly am. And to have that kind of role reversal and saying, no, you don't understand. You cannot text me. I understand that's your policy, but I don't have a working phone. That was my crazy day. And that's why, sadly, you were alone, because I was also dealing with that where I was in Vero Beach, had no Wi-Fi service. So my only avenue when we were doing our podcast, obviously, is to have some sort of Wi-Fi or network. I had neither. So I could not get on. And then sadly, our guests get things a little mumble jumbled, and that's okay. That happens. But the point being is we both had to pivot yesterday. And how that, it does it. It kind of affects the flow, don't you think? Like you expect your day going, we talk about this all the time. You expect your day to go a certain way and bam, you got to pivot. And is it going to add that stress, and how are you going to switch that stress around? Because we know verbatim how stress affects your health and wellness. Don't you think, Jan?
Excuse me, it most definitely does, because the moment you are stressed, and Dr. Bowley talked about this week, that cortisol is released. Cortisol in high levels is no good, and that just adds, that's like the fuel for the fire, so to speak. So pivoting sometimes it's not easy. We have to pivot, having our, obviously for the last couple of days, typically I just have my cell phone, laptop, not on my Mac, but I've got my iPad, this pad, my cell phone, this, that. Well, if one is giving me an issue, I just go to the next one. Like it's no big deal. But that cell phone that is attached, pretty much attached to our hip. Oh, there we are. Yeah. Attached to our hip, especially when you got the pockets in your athletic leisure wear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's always with us. Like everybody relies on their cell phone. We know you can do anything and everything from your cell phone. Order your meals, go grocery shopping. Well,
Read a book.
Read a book.
Read a book.
Read a book. So, all right, well, let's kind of dive into that. So we have, obviously the Knockout Shelley is now a published book. We are doing quite well in the ranks. And I have to remind myself when I look at the numbers, how do I explain it? So when I look at the numbers, and I had a hard time looking at them yesterday, and then I hit a wrong button and I got off the page and it was a mess. But anyways, what I want to say is when you look at the numbers, you have to think, and I have to remind myself, the number of books that are uploaded to Kindle each day. So currently in alternate medicine, we are at number 9, and healing, we are at number 4. That's freaking awesome. That is absolutely amazing. And I'm so excited by those stats. Of course, I want them to be up higher, but I have to pivot my thought on that and think, sometimes where you want to be and where you are obviously are two different things. And that happens for that reason. And what is that reason? And I have been totally transparent. I have definitely made some mistakes with this project, but I'm not in a way, and this may sound kind of kooky, I'm kind of glad that I did, because you wouldn't believe the stuff I got going on with the second one. That's like, okay, well, I did this way. It didn't work out that way. Oh, well, let me do it that way. So there's a lot to be said about the process of being a publisher. And I am still learning, and I'm sure I will still make mistakes. But the overall point that I am making, especially for my first time authors, such as yourself, to be number 4 and number 9 out of thousands and thousands of books.
Right. I mean, I like I said, we still have till midnight to spark those up. And what does it take? It's $1 download for you to get the digital copy of our book. And there are so many wonderful stories. They're all a little bit different. Some are a tad similar, but still so different. And I love a book that is something that you can read easily on the go. Hey, I've got an hour to read. Let me read. Oh, geez, there's 9 stories, 8 stories. I can read a couple now and a couple later. So I love the simplicity of of an anthology book. It really provides that niche for people that want something on the go and hate stopping in the middle of a chapter, which I like the fact that not only are you going from chapter to chapter, they're different authors. And I love that feel to it. And I love the different generations that are really contributing to this book, different mindset. So we are asking, and, we love for our audience, our listeners to, we're going to put the link, obviously, and we've been posting our link on our personal pages, on our TwoSister page, on our Instagram, on our personal Instagrams. It's $1 for, what can you buy for $1 today? When you think about it. And the fact that and also please leave a review. Look, reviews are just as important in ranking. Obviously, there's a 5-star rating. We've already gotten a few, which is awesome. I've actually received messages from others that started, people that I personally know that started with, say, my chapter, and then they reverted, they kind of hopped around. And I said, oh, make sure you read them all, every chapter, because they're just remarkable journeys. And, to impact other people with struggles, with joy, with overcoming, with transformation. is an impactful thing. It's a powerful tool because we know then that we've impacted someone in such a special way. So we ask that not only that you download it, that you share it with who doesn't have Amazon. I mean, everybody has Amazon, right? So you can download it right from Amazon. If you want to give a little more information regarding that, Jan, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so you don't, and I saw a couple of posts that people don't have the Kindle. You don't need to have a Kindle to download the book. Pretty much everybody has an Amazon account, so you can download the Kindle app, and it takes a couple seconds, and then it's obviously hooked up to your Amazon account, and you can order it from your Amazon app. It's immediately downloaded to your Kindle app on your phone. Very, very easy.
Right. So Kindle and Amazon are like partners with that. So
yes,
if you look on a lot of people group their, Amazon, their social media, whatever, on their phone with a little icon or whatever. So with Kindle, it just, in Amazon/Kindle, it just automatically does it. So you can, and you just click on the Kindle. And like you said, you don't have to be a Kindle user per se. It's partnered with Amazon. And I think that's pretty cool for those that, they're partnering for a reason, right? They're partnering for longevity. And I think that's a great idea because a lot of people, when you hear the word Kindle, you think, oh, I've got to get the Kindle tablet. No,
right.
You can literally download it and read it. That's how I read it yesterday because Lordy, I don't have a Kindle. And I do have an iPad, but I don't use it that often. I use my phone for everything. And I read the journeys right from your phone and it saves it. So in other words, when you hit that app and say you only have time for 1 or 2 chapters, you go back to it, you're still at the same spot you left off. It's so cool and so easy. And the fact that you're helping entrepreneurs like ourselves really reach up that rank. We depend on our audience and our listeners and our friends and our family to support us in this journey and support these other co-authors. So for $1, we really hope that you consider downloading our book and help us rank up. Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to show everybody my iPad. And of course, it's just such a neat feeling when I go in and I see all my books. I see quite a few of them in just this part of it.
That is a big iPad.
Yeah, it's very big.
I don't think I've ever seen an iPad that big. Holy cow.
Yeah. So $1, help us out, won't you? But more importantly, help us get the word out. Like these stories, they will inspire you. And maybe some of them may make you cry. And I love the fact that, you mentioned it's generational because it definitely is, you can relate to what certain people are going through, maybe more so than another story, but each story will inspire you to connect with the authenticity of the message that the author is trying to bring to you. So that is pretty awesome. We're very excited. This is only the beginning. Obviously I love to read, I love to write. And this experience, it's something that I've definitely always wanted to do. And I kind of fulfilled my promise to that guy in the picture back there, our daddy. So I'm pretty stoked for that. And I really feel that he's been with us through this whole, he'll always be with us. That's right. You're right. So, it really touches me on so many different levels. And just that excitement when publishing date comes along and I felt the energy from the different authors. I remember what that was like for me, and it's just touched my heart in so many different ways. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity that I was able to share it with my co-authors. I picked every one of them for a very specific reason, and I'm forever grateful. So, Fantabulous Friday.
Up on the back, first time publisher, and I love, our message and our mantra has always been be authentically us. And the fact that you chat about, different things that, hey, I've got to change this up, we got to do this, we got to do that. It's a learning curve. Not many people do that, and I think that's what really I'm so postured in, and that's what sets us apart. Is we are showing the possibilities, even with the pitfalls and the divots and the pivots and the things that we have to readjust, because part of our message with health and wellness in all aspects of it, with our lives, with helping others, with starting this business, is to really show people the overall message is to not leave your goals, your dreams, your desires to go to the boneyard. And what I mean by that, and it's just something that I'll say over and over again, is we're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised time. We're on borrowed time, actually. When you actually are birthed, you're birthed to die, which sounds a little harsh, but that's the truth of it. And how are we going to leave our marks? And when this last 12 months occurred, Jan and I decided this was the time. This was the time that we talked about collaborating, that there was more to us than just our individual businesses, that collectively we could reach masses more with health and wellness, with mindset, with laughter, with controversy, with authenticity, but with authentically having you, the audience, the listener, be a part of that journey, to see the pitfalls, to see the curves, and yet we still get up. And yet we still want to share because we know we have more to give. And it's all about serving. And if the only thing that you get out of it is a scratch on your head, on your forehead, right? What do I want to accomplish? What message do I want to leave? What goal, what dream, what vision, what thing have I been inspiring to do all my life, and I keep putting it off? And I think because of the generation of where we're at, where we've already lived through our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, our 50s, well, some of us are entering into the next phase at some point. The point being that you don't want to leave those to-do things, those things you want to check off on your box of life, and have them buried with you. That's what the whole don't leave them to the boneyard means. Don't have them go in that graveyard with you. And even if you fail, even if you stumble, you fall, our message is get up and do it again. Don't quit. Keep doing it, because, when you think about visions and goals, they don't ever end. They just transfer into another goal, into another dream. It's just kind of another journey that just keeps occurring over and over again. Don't you think, Jan?
Yes, because if you look at the start of the Knockout Shelly project, obviously, we've chatted about this, we were delayed, but the delay was meant also to spark that creativity. Which is somewhat the name of my chapter, Strike When Creativity Sparks.
That's true.
Think about that for the moment. The strike, the thought that comes into your mind that sparks you to take action, which leads you to a project that you want to do. And you start out doing this project and you have the intentions of it going one way, but you're sparked again, so you go another way. And that's really the message, the overall message of my participation in this. And, I kind of laugh because when I'm involved with a writing project, I'm constantly writing it in my head. And, although I should have been the very first person to make sure that I got my chapter in, I hold myself accountable. I was actually the last one. I made it by my deadline, but I kind of laugh at that. Like, but you know what? It's all a part of the process. It's all a part of the learning curve, which is going to create more authenticity, more vulnerability, and a chirping bird in the background.
Well, you know what? He's kind of the part of the podcast at this point. I have so many people that message me. Oh my God, the bird. The bird is part of the podcast. What is the bird's name? I always forget. I don't know why.
Shuddy. It's no. I thought I keep on muting myself and unmuting. His actual name is Zazu.
Oh, that's right, Zazu.
But I just call him Birdie.
Yeah, let's go. I was going to say, because we don't really call it by name, but Zazu. Right. Zazu needs to do a shushy. But he's excited. He hears our voices, and I think it excites him.
I think it does too. And we're thinking of, obviously, when it gets warmer, we're going to put him on the other side of the house where he used to be years ago. Because, he'll get more sunlight and he can, do whatever. And then I don't have to listen to his chirping little voice. And that's just like the monster too. His actual name is Armani, but I call him the monster, and that's what he answers to now.
It's so funny how you kind of pick up different little quirky names for a real name. And we do that with human beings too. We do that. It's funny how we kind of morph into a different name of something, but it is Fantabulous Friday. Today is it's a partly cloudy day in Vero Beach. We've had some amazing weather, upper 80s, bright sunshine. So today, because I've got a lot going on, a lot to catch up, John's already left for pickleball. I told him, go ahead and go. I don't have time today. I've got some meeting. I've got a luncheon that I'm getting ready for, and then obviously doing some creative things as well. And how do we make a Friday fantabulous when we're just not feeling it? So many of us go through that. Well, what I would say is pause, sit down. Oh, and there was a little sidebar I'm gonna talk about before we get to that point. Just sit down and kind of look through what you created over the last week. And did you create a new recipe? Did you try a new workout? Did you clean out that closet that you've been talking about? Did you, get something on your to-do list checked off? These are all things that we need to pat ourselves on the back and celebrate on Fantabulous Friday. Even those of us that have, maybe have had a shaky week, things didn't work out the way we wanted. We had a lot of pivots and divots. If you dig deep enough, you will find some really great things and accomplishments. And some are small, some are big, but you always have to be on the lookout for them and embrace them and congratulate yourself and look in the mirror and say, I did good, or I love you, even though despite you were real bitchy the other day. Have that conversation with yourself in the mirror. But speaking of conversations, I'm going to divert a little bit to another hot topic on this Fantabulous Friday. I woke up, I did a post about it. I woke up this morning and, after I did my morning meditations and things that I like to do, I like to check out to see what's kind of trending, what's going on. Trending Thursday kind of leads every day, what's trending, what's going on, what's everyone chatting about. And of course, I came across a bunch of very weird posts. And I say them weird, but weird would be my opinion. I always like to make sure that I'm letting people know that. But so many people that are now getting the virus vaccine, it's like a party. There's a lot of cheering going on. There's a lot of, world's getting back to normal. Yay, me, I got my vaccine. Congratulate me. And it was several posts. It wasn't just one, it was several. And I thought, we're living in bizarro land. I look back at, and when I say that, it is not to say that I'm not grateful that the vaccine is available for those that truly want it. So I want to make sure that I'm very clear on that. I am not, I've never been a pro type of vaccine person. So no, I'm not. I've been pretty outspoken about that. I don't want to say outspoken, but I've been realistic and authentic that the vaccine is not for me. But I certainly do not discourage those and tell them, oh, you don't need it, whatever. I always believe that whatever makes you feel good, confident, safe, then do that. However, when I look at over the last 12 months of how this pandemic has virtually brainwashed so many people, and again, I'm not saying that they're brainwashed. What I'm saying is, I look at the last 12 months, I look at people that suffer from depression, mental illness, anxiety, recovering, whether recovering from alcohol, recovering from drugs, any kind of addiction, eating addiction, and the elderly. That I think if you were to ask an elderly person that's been kind of locked up in their elderly home and they just want to have that physical connection with people and their family and their loved ones, and they're lonely and they're sad, I think if you were to ask them about celebrating the vaccine, they would probably rather celebrate that they're just with their loved ones. Someone in recovery wants to celebrate, needs that interaction with people, their therapists, their organized groups. Someone that suffers from mental illness needs that therapist, that support, maybe to get their medication. And then you had, obviously, and I did not watch it, but the Grammys shit show, and that's exactly for me what it was, of women connecting their tongues together and touching each other. And I'm not a prude. I want to be clarified, I'm not a prude, but there's a time and a place for things. And when you have a narrative of fear mongering and brainwashing, and it really came to light to this morning, I've always kind of known that, but to see celebrating getting a vaccine, that is what our country has come to, when there's so many people that would rather just have that human touch and be a part. And they think that I think part of it is the celebration of getting the vaccine, and the vaccine is what's going to bring our world to normal. Let me tell you something, people. It's going to take a lot more than a vaccine to get this world to some sort of normalcy. If the people that are pandering, and the same people that are celebrating the vax, are also the ones that are mask mongering, mask fearing, and the mask police. But yet you have a Grammy show of the elites that a certain party and a certain group of people applaud, and they're sticking their tongues out, no masks, and they're joining their tongues. That was one piece. The other piece, and it's, something about, I believe colleges now are going to have separate ceremonies. I think it was UCLA, Arizona State, Yale, Berkeley, a bunch of them. We're going to have online, for transgender, online for, a certain race, economics. And I don't know all the ins and outs about it. I just know that there's been a lot of talk about it, and they admit that that's what they're doing. This is not normal, people. This is bizarro world. This is far from normal. We're talking about celebrating a vaccine, and with all the cancer culture, I find it really kind of funny. People want to cancel culture. We know that with Mr. Potato Head, Dr. Seuss, all of that. We want to cancel culture. They want to cancel history, yet they want to bring back segregation or division, and they call that, well, we want to be all inclusive. How is having separate ceremonies by class, race, income, gender, and if you're canceling out culture and you're canceling out history, but yet you're bringing back the shit about our history that we don't want to do. So I looked at those two things this morning and I thought, wow, bizarro.
Yeah, there's so much that I could say about that, but I am reserving my comments as of right now because I am having a bad hair day. And usually when I have a bad hair day and say comments, it goes downhill from there. So we'll just leave it at that. in any event, Fantabulous Friday. So we want you to have a great Friday. Please help us with the Knockout Shelly project, and let's get those numbers up even further. And thank you all so much for listening, for joining us on this journey. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 4.0, Madame Publisher, and I am with two
Sistas, and this is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, Lady Canna, published author, woohoo, telling you, regardless of what's going on in the world, with the ups and downs, with the cray-cray, with the bizarro, celebrate you. It's Fantabulous Friday. Think of different things that you've accomplished today that you thought you couldn't. Checked off that box. And with all of that, make sure that you're paying forward, being kind, being just good to people. Just be the spark of light that we all so need to hear, see, breathe, and embrace. With that, we will see you Monday for Mindset Monday. We'll kind of wrap up of what happens on the weekend first thing, and we'll look forward to another great week. You guys have a great weekend. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.